So today we're going to be learning about surface area. Yesterday we talked about volume of the new shapes that we're learning, and today is surface area. And as an introduction to surface area, we're going to first find the area of the following shapes. And obviously surface area and area are probably related since they both have area in their title. So this is going to help us with today's lesson. So first let's find the surface area of our circle, or just the area of the circle. And so we know that the area of a circle is pi times radius squared. However, they give us our diameter up here of 4. We need a radius, so we know it's just half, or 2. So our area is 3.14 times 2 squared. And that works out to an area of 12.56 meters squared. Remember, with area, they're square meters, or squared units, not cubed like volume. Next, we have a rectangle. The area of a rectangle is simply length times width. So we're going to have 7 times 3, or 21 square meters. And finally, we have a triangle. Remember, the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times our height. And remember, it's only a half because a triangle is half if you have a square. So we have 0.5 times 8 times 6. 8 times 6 is 48 divided by 2. We get an area of 24 meters squared. And so, knowing these area formulas for these three shapes is going to be highly essential for today and very helpful when we're finding surface area. Next, I would like you to take a moment and recall the formulas for the three shapes that we're really focusing on. I want you to try to remember these from memory for the volume formulas because you're going to have them memorized on your summative when you take it next week. So, if we recall the formula for a cylinder, take a moment to think about the volume formula and write it down. Do the same for pyramid and triangular prism, and pause the video if you have to while you write them before you continue on. However, I'm going to keep talking. So, the formula for the volume of a cylinder we've already done, so this should be easy recollection. Remember, it's pi times our radius squared times our height. And remember, we talked about how this portion came from the circular base, and then our height was the remainder of our container. Next, we have a pyramid. We can kind of think about this the same way. Remember, pyramids have that rectangular base, and then they form these triangles, similar to a cone, which helps me remember that it's a third. Formula for the pyramid is the volume equals the length times the width times our height divided by 3. The length and the width portion comes from this rectangular base. The height is from the center of our pyramid downwards to give us the height of the shape, kind of like a cube. But because it is a pyramid, it's only a third of that volume, of the length times width times height, or the third of the cube's volume. So we have to divide it by 3. Using what we just talked about, try to recall the triangular prism. Remember, a triangular prism, we have those triangular ends that extend back in rectangular shapes. And so, the formula for the volume of a triangular prism, you can think about this a few ways, but I like to think of it as the triangle portion first. And I know a triangle is base times height divided by 2. And I have to multiply that by the length, or how far back this rectangular prism goes. Not the only ways to write these formulas, but these are the ways that make the most sense to me. There's many ways you can do that though, so if you have questions, come talk to me. And so when we're finding surface area. This shouldn't be new for you guys. Pretty sure you've done this in the past. But let's begin with just finding the area of a square. We know a square that is 10 by 10. What we do, the area is length times width. So we have 10 times 10. So we get an area of 100 square centimeters. Now to find surface area of a cube where each side measures 10 centimeters long, what we need to do is we need to add up each surface that we see. A cube has 6 sides, and they all have the area that's the same, and they actually all have the area from the left-hand side. So we have 6 sides with an area of 100 to give us a total area, or surface area, of 600 centimeters squared. And so that easily we were able to find the surface area, the total outside edge area of our prism. So now that we've done an example and you guys have done this in the past, what is surface area? Well, we can confidently say that surface area, it is the combined area of all sides of a shape. And surface area comes into play when you're working with 3D shapes, which is what we're doing. So a 3D shape. And it's just the combined area of all sides of the shape. So we just add them together. So at this point, one thing we need to remember is that when finding surface area, it's easiest to imagine the shape as a 2-dimensional figure rather than a 3-dimensional figure. Because then we'll be able to see all the different sides and shapes that we're working with to find the surface area of. So, at this point in the video, I would like you to pause the video and go ahead and try to complete the next 3 slides independently. Once you have the last 3 slides completed, come back, finish the video, and check to see if you had the right idea. But I want you to explore these on your own. On BB9, there is additional worksheets, or additional practice or something I called it, on the end. And that has hints for helping you to figure out the last 3 slides. But it's really beneficial if you pause the video now and come back to it after you finish the next 3. So, I hope you have the slide completed already. If not, pause and go back and work on it. Otherwise, keep listening. So, shown right here, we have a triangular prism. So, right now, it is a 3-dimensional object. I want to look at it as a 2-dimensional object. So I'm going to pretend I unfold this. Well, I know these sides are all rectangles, and there's 3 of them, because it's triangular. So I'm going to have 3 rectangles, and I have my 2 triangles that go on the ends. So I took it from 3D to 2D. And now we can easily see the triangles or the shapes that it consists of. We have triangles and rectangles. And how many of each shape? We have 3 rectangles and 2 triangles. And so if we're going to find the surface area of this place, we would find the surface area of our 3 rectangles, and then we would also find the area of our 2 triangles and add them together. Next, we have our pyramid. I hope you have this slide completed, and I'm just checking your answers. So, if we were going to break down our pyramid, I see our base, and that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to take the base of our pyramid and pretend I opened it up. I'm going to peel back those triangular sides. I'm going to peel back the sides one by one. And that is our flattened out pyramid. And so what shapes do we have? We have our triangles and our square, the rectangle base. And there's 4 triangles and 1 of the rectangle. So we would find the area for the 4 triangles and add it to the area of our 1 rectangle to find the surface area of this shape. Finally, we have our cylinder. And I think the cylinder is one of the most complicated shapes to picture broken down. And so if I was going to squish this open, I know that I have a circle for the top and a circle for the bottom. But what is that shape that's going to go in the middle? And that's where I always struggle. But it's actually a lot easier than it is. It's just, you can imagine it kind of like a piece of paper that you rolled up. It's just a rectangle of some kind with those circles on the top and on the bottom. And so all we have are circles and rectangles. And so if we're going to say how many there are, we would find the surface, we would find the area of 2 circles. 2 circles. And we would add it to the area of our 1 rectangle. And that would give us a surface area of our cylinder. And so you need to take volume, which we've talked about, and surface area, which we discussed today, and apply it to today's homework assignment on BB9. And if you want to see some visuals, I have them. Otherwise, like I said, they're an additional practice on BB9, the bottom of the page.